he's running. Ooh, that.
Alrighty, what's going on, guys? Trusting a night and day performance. Another day, another build for you. Here we have a 2017 wide body Charger 6.4, and this is going to be getting a fully forged motor, a 3.0 Whipple, fuel system, the works. Not going to be doing the transmission as of right now, so when we get done and get the tune in, we'll be turning it down a little bit just to keep it safe. And yeah, get a startup clip driving it in the shop, we'll get it on the lift and get this going. Alrighty, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and start draining the oil, coolant it, all the necessary stuff, put the exhaust off, drive shaft, pull everything out, and get ready to pull the motor out of the top. Alright, what's going on, guys? So we're still working on the Charger here. Just giving you a little update. Basically, almost ready to get it pulled out. Went ahead and pulled the radiator fans. AC compressor is disconnected. The starter and the alternator are out. So we got all these plugs unplugged from here. Other than that, pretty much we got two more bell housing bolts we left in just to make sure everything was still together. Pull the grounds off the back of the heads, and then we'll get ready to get it on the hoist and get the motor mount bolts out. Should be ready to pull out the top.
We're going to start working on getting this engine torn apart on this beautiful 2017 Dodge Charger. We got it pulled out. It's for Kevin over in Louisiana. So now we're gonna go ahead and get the motor torn down so that we can make sure that we get the right parts on order before we get everything on the way for it. The Whipple's already on the way. We have a set of pistons here for it, for dropping pistons and rods, but we might have to do oversized if anything was to come up. I don't think there will be. The car's good, came in running fine, but we're gonna go ahead and get into finding out what's going on with it. Let's get into the teardown on this 392 Hemi. As we begin tearing this engine apart, we want to note there's nothing actually wrong with this engine. Mechanically, the car came in running perfectly fine, but why are we doing this? Why are we here? The 6.4 liter Hemi, unfortunately, the pistons just can't handle boost the way that other cars and other manufacturers can. The top ring lands are just too small, and it's a defect that's been known for years. Yes, you could go on this one and put 6 to 7 pounds of boost and have no issues. Some people have done it for years, some people have pushed up to 10. But with this engine, we're gonna end up doing a lot more power than that. Down the line, we're gonna find out that the customer wants to make some more upgrades to what we're doing. And as we go along in this build, things are gonna change. So make sure you stay tuned. But if you were wondering, the main component that you need to update or upgrade when you're going to boost your Gen 3 Hemi, if it's a 6.4 liter, is the pistons. You can do just drop-in pistons, you can do pistons and rods, which we also sell, or you can do a full stroker kit. This vehicle is going to end up getting a 426 stroker kit from our buddies over at FRP. And then we're going to end up upgrading the camshaft to the Widowmaker camshaft. Along the lines, we're going to end up wanting to make more power. So we're going to give a shout out to our buddies that are going to build our transmission for us, simple speed and performance. We're going to get a one-piece drive shaft, a full fuel system. We're going to get the heads cleaned up and make sure everything's good with them, with Hooper's heads next door to us. This vehicle is going to get the entire works. All the way down, the drivetrain will be upgraded. So stay tuned for the build. Make sure if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments section. Shoot us a message on Facebook, Instagram, or email nightanddayperformance.com, or you can give us a phone call 713-344-2191 to get more information on your Gen 3 Hemi. We are known as the Hemi Specialist of Houston, and if you have any questions, no matter where you're at in the United States, we can help you. We build from all over the country. But if you guys like Hemis, if you guys like LSs, this is the channel for you. Make sure you subscribe before you click off of the video. And we're gonna go ahead and finish getting this engine tore down so we can get it over to the machine shop. Normally when we do this, if it's over 100,000 miles, what we're gonna do is we're gonna bore out these cylinders 10 over so we can make sure we clean up everything. And when we bore it, we're gonna torque plate hone it, make sure everything is good, verify all of our bearing clearances. And we're gonna set our ring gap a little looser because we are boosting this one and we are gonna turn it up later. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for more videos. All right, first up on the mark for today. You can't see my head, I'm sorry. The main attraction is the pistons. Get this DSS Racing box opened up. We have our DSS Racing piston rings, which are marked top, second, and oil rings for the people that don't know which orientation they are, so that's good. We have our locks for our pistons. And here are our DSS Racing pistons. Whoop, whoop. And the wrist pin that I dropped. Although I don't see anything damaged. That could have been bad, but everything's all good. Those slide out sometimes. But this is our DSS Racing forged piston. It does have a little dish to it, so we can run some pretty big cams in this one if we really wanted to. This one's getting a Whipple blower anyway, so we're not going to do anything too crazy. But I'll get the pistons laid out here. That's our box for DSS. That's all of our pistons. All right, there we go. That is what our pistons look like that are going in this engine. Shout out to DSS Racing for hooking us up with these pistons, and for FRP for, of course, coming together with the kit. Next on the list is we're going to get the rods unboxed, and we're going to get the crank unboxed. Walk you guys around. So here's our rods, here's our pistons, and here is our forged Eagle crank for our 426 stroker. It is balanced already, which is what these holes are used for, is balancing the crank. And you can see here, some of it's shaved off, which is where they balance the counterweights for the stroker, for the rods and all. So everything's ready for this one. And then behind me, as we can see here, here is our engine block. Fresh from the machine shop. I'll spin it over so you can see the beautiful part and not the bottom side of it. I was doing some work on the bottom side, so that's why it was upside down.
Brother,
But as you can see here, hopefully it picks it up in the camera. We have everything torque plate honed. All of our cylinders are good. The deck was checked to make sure that it was true, so we didn't have to do any surfacing there. But everything came out within tolerance to spec. We got it bored 10 over. Everything was been jet washed, new cam bearings, everything went through the machine shop, got touched, got done, got checked. Now this block is ready to get fully assembled. So now at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start getting the rings file fitted so we can go ahead and get these pistons ready to go into this brand new block so we can continue on with this build and get this car back on the road for our customer KB. So we're gonna go ahead and get the pistons and rods assembled so we can get the rings on, get the crank in the engine, or in the block. Right now, all I'm doing is taking the rods, lubricating, putting it inside where the piston goes, sliding the wrist pin in, and then these are utilizing these kind of locks. So you have to actually have the snap ring pliers. They're snap rings, and you have to go inside and squeeze them and put them inside of the sides of the piston, which I'm going to do now. This portion of the engine build is when you're wanting to be extra clean and extra cautious. So when you tear stuff down, it doesn't matter if you're dirty, if your hands are nasty, but when you're assembling, as you can see here, I've put on gloves. You want to make sure that everything's nice and clean, because you don't want to have any debris getting caught when you're putting these spiral locks in, or the snap rings, I should say, or when you're putting the rings on, or when you're dropping everything into the block, because dirt, debris, and other contaminants can cause scoring and marring to the surfaces. They can cause bearing damage, they can cause cylinder wall damage. There's so many things that can be done if you don't do this in the correct manner. So just make sure that you're extra cautious and extra clean, and you have a clean workspace to clean and assemble all of these parts. And as you're going, if you see any dirt or debris, make sure you clean it off. Sometimes this stuff comes from the factory with a little bit of debris on it or a little bit of dirt on it, and it's your job as the engine assembler, engine builder, to check all these items and make sure that they're done correctly and done the way it is supposed to be done, so you can be successful and have a nice, strong, well-built engine without issue. All right, everybody, so welcome back, and we've already got most of the pistons assembled. I paused here on piston number 8 because I'm going to kind of show you what it is that we were doing when we were installing. So, and here's the wrist pin that you saw that I was sliding in and out, if you could see in the video. And then you saw the tool I was using. It's because these are snap ring style, so these are doubled. So there's 2 on each side. The way you orientate the rods for these specific pistons, or pretty much any piston you see when you're putting them in the motor, a lot of people ask if there's directions. So what you're going to look at is the edges here and the edges here. So I'm going to get a little closer. So if you see this, there's a little bevel here. They call it a chamfer, however you want to pronounce it. And then the other side is flat. Flat sides go towards each other. So in referencing to pistons, you see the 2 flat sides would touch. The beveled edge is going to go towards the crankshaft. Reasoning for this is because there's little ridges, which I'll show you in just a second here. I'll turn around to this crank. So there's little bitty ridges right here. So you see this is all flat, so it doesn't matter. But on the edges, it's beveled up. So if you put the pistons backwards when you're doing this, what's going to happen is these pistons are going to end up having this bevel self-created on the flat side, and you're going to have to replace your pistons because you're going to send metal through your motor. So don't do that. So per the instructions, you do this a little different on DSS's site, but there's an easier way I'm going to do it. So how you're installing the rings on these pistons specifically, of course, because the wrist pin hole intersects where your oil ring goes, there's a lock that has to go in here. It says to do that last. I do them first. So you're going to see here, there's a little, if you can pick it up, there's a little nipple right there, a little bump. That bump is going to go in this gap. So I'm going to put it on first. So you're going to try to line that up as best as you can in that little slot. And you're going to slowly, now these are not piston rings the way I'm working them around. They're a little more flexible, but you still have to be careful not to break them and not to scratch the pistons. So once you get that there, you're going to flip it over. Make sure that the little bevel, little nipple is there. And then take something that's not too sharp, that's not going to scratch anything. Like I have this little pick. And I'm going to just run it down and press that all the way down, so that it's at the bottom. What this does is make sure your oil ring doesn't pop out through this little groove. Now, the next step is going to be installing the oil ring spreader. So this little corrugated little piece. And that slides right in. This is not going to be all your pistons that are going to be the same design. This is mostly for your strokers, the bigger strokers. This one is a 426 stroker. So then we're going to take one of our oil rings here. And just so you know, oil rings are usually non-directional. I just saw something on it. I was just making sure it was off. You're gonna slide that on the bottom of the corrugated spot above that lock that we just put in. Just like that. And if you see there's a number on top of this pistons, that's because you have intake and exhaust valve reliefs. So these have to sit this direction. It can't sit that direction. So that's directional, the rod's directional. So I set these rods to the specific piston going into the specific cylinder. And then if you can see, whenever I do the rings, when I file fit the rings, I leave them in the cylinders that they're going to, because sometimes, not all times, they might vary very slightly. Like, you know, I'm talking about like a thousandth of an inch. You want to make sure that, you know, you're file fitting the rings to that. They shouldn't, they normally don't, but they can. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the block, and I have the rings. So my one on top here is my second ring. I'm going to pull out my second ring, pull out my top ring. The orientation does matter. So on these pistons, my top ring is going to be nice and shiny. My second ring is going to be darker. You're going to see on them, sometimes they have marks, sometimes they have little bumps. That has an N2O symbol, which goes up. So I'm going to put that on the second ring. So you basically put the groove on one side and you slowly work your way around until it slides in that ring groove. Now what you usually don't want to do is line the openings up. So that one, the opening is on this side, so I'm going to put the other opening, the ring gap, on the opposite side. Same thing, the N2O symbol up. Put this in here. And I'm going to slowly work it around. If you do this too much, you'll break the rings. Just like that. That's how you put the rings on the piston. So our next step, our pistons are fully assembled. Which you can see here. There's all of our pistons for the stroker kit. Pistons, rods, everything, rings are on. Our block is over here, ready to go. Everything's been torque plate honed. All of our rings are file fitted. Our crank is over there. So now I'm going to flip the block upside down, and we're going to go ahead and get the crank installed. So we can go ahead and measure our bearing clearances and make sure we can get everything assembled. Let's go ahead and jump in. Alrighty, so if you're still with us, now we are doing the short block assembly. During this process is one of the most crucial steps that you cannot miss and you cannot rush. And that's setting bearing clearance, making sure your bearing clearances are correct, which of course some people can say, hey, just throw standard bearings in and they'll be fine. That's not always the case. Factory standards compared to aftermarket performance standards are usually way different. For instance, the bearing clearances on the, say the rods, for instance, from the factory, just under 1,000 is acceptable. But on something making 1,000 horsepower, that is no longer acceptable. The minimum clearance I would set on something like this that's supposed to be making 1,000 is maybe 2,000 clearance on the mains and the rod bearings. But that can always go up or down depending on your setup and what you're wanting to do. Same thing with your ring gap, same thing with everything else. So it's kind of up to a builder's preference. I build my engines a specific way because that's how I want them done, and that's how I've been doing it for years, and that's what works. So there's always those secrets that come with building an engine and learning and testing and R&D that you can get over the time to make sure that you have this stuff the way you want it. You can mix and match, say, a regular size bearing and an oversized bearing to get a little more clearance. There's several ways to do it. They have undersized and oversized bearings available for all of the cars that you're building. Just make sure that you get whatever's correct for your setup. But we're going to do that. We're going to get our main studs installed since we had everything aligned honed earlier. And we're going to get this short block thrown together so we can get it put back together in the long block form, get it set back in the car, and let's see what this thing makes later on in the video. Make sure if you haven't done so already, you subscribe. Stay tuned. The video is going to get very interesting. And we're going to do some driving. We're going to do some revving. We're going to do some idle logs. Hey, we might even do a little bit of stunt driving later on. But you have to stay tuned to make sure you don't miss it. Now we're going to install the cam kit that we're doing in this one, and it's going to be the FRP Widowmaker cam. It was originally going to be the Titan 2, however, because we went ahead and did the stroker, and now we're doing a built transmission in it as well with a converter, we bumped it up, and we're going to do the Widowmaker in it. So we're going to go ahead and get that installed. If you're looking for the specs on this cam, they're on our website, nightanddayperformance.com, and you can see the cam specs for the Widowmaker. So now behind me is the 426, as you can see here. and we're going to go ahead and start getting this camshaft installed. We're going to go ahead and get the plate, the retainer plate. We're going to go ahead and get the oil pump installed, timing set, and continue on pushing on this motor. All right, so the cam's in, and contrary to popular belief, I'm going to tell you to do something that some people say you're not supposed to do. However, I do it. There's a good reason why. So here we have the Gen 3 Hemi. We have lifters. On your LSs and on a lot of motors, a lot of people like to soak their lifters before they put them in. Well, if you saw in the video just a second ago, we weren't soaking them. We were actually doing something else. It's called bleeding down the lifters. So within your lifter, you take a little Allen key, and you'll see the little hole in the lifter. And what you're going to do is pump that, and you can see the excess oil coming out. You're going to do that to every lifter that you have when you're doing a Hemi. All right, so some people are going to ask, why would I bleed my lifters down? I want oil in my engine when I start it, you know, things that, yes, you do. And a lot of people are going to be stuck in their ways, which is fine. If you don't want to do it this way, you can do it your own way, but I have a logical reason. Not only have I done research on this topic, MMX has done research, and several other of the major Hemi shops have done research as to why it's better to bleed them down. So on startup, is it going to be louder? Yes. So I always recommend when you first do your fire up, if you bled your lifters down, cycle over the motor, put it on a little charging station, and cycle it over to get some of that oil flowing before you fire it. The reasoning behind it, if you understand lifter designs and understand how they work. So lifters have plungers inside of them. Those plungers move up and down, and inside of the lifter is a spot where oil will sit. So from the factory, a lot of lifters are filled with oil. It keeps them from rusting and everything, corrosion and whatnot. But there becomes an issue if the oil that's in them is not 100% at the right level that it's supposed to be. The thing is, and my logic to this, which will help a lot of people, is you can compress air. Pistons compress air. The engine compresses air. You cannot compress oil. You cannot compress water. Those objects, like the liquids, they can't be compressed. They bend things whenever they try to compress. Inside the lifter, there's a certain amount of oil. Now, when you get your push rods installed, OEM lifters, usually around 60 to 70 thou on the preload. If the lifter is completely full of oil, it's going to have to force the oil out of the lifter before the preload can actually be set or given within the push rod. Now that becomes a problem because on your first fire up, if there's too much oil and it's trying to force the oil out, you're also going to be forcing oil down the push rod to try to feed oil in because of the backwards way that the oiling system works on the Gen 3 Hemi. So when you have oil pushing down the push rod and oil trying to push out the push rod, at some point they're going to deadhead and try to start compressing oil. It's not usually going to work, which is going to make it hang a valve. It's going to make a valve not close all the way. So you're going to have combustion that's not going to happen. You're going to have leaks. You're going to have no compression. And you're going to have issues. Now, once the engine fires up, people are like, well, when it fires up, it fills it full of oil anyways. To an extent, it does. But you got to remember that there's always a preload on your lifters. So your lifters will never be 100% full once they're in the engine that's running. So it's always best, in my opinion, to let the lifters oil themselves naturally. Yes, it's going to be a little louder on first fire up, but it will quiet down very quickly as they pump up with oil. It usually doesn't take a super long time. So if you're sitting there for 10-15 minutes, there's a problem. Usually after about, I say about a minute, you'll see that it starts getting quieter. About 5 minutes, you should hear nothing at all. It should be quiet on the valve train as far as back to where your Hemi normal Hemi tick is. It's not going to go away. It's a Hemi. But that is the reasoning behind bleeding down your lifters. Because like I said, you have your lifters that are, if they're too full of oil, they can't push the oil out while oil's trying to be pushed down, and the preload's going to be off. So you're going to have, say, 60, 70 thou of additional preload compared to what it's supposed to have. So basically you're doubling your specs. So it's not going to work out right. Doesn't always happen. There's tons of times we've installed lifters, and over the years we used to do this all the time. We used to soak our lifters because we build LSs too, and we've never had issues with it directly all the time, but we have had instances where we have no compression on fire up. We have had issues where we fire it up and we have a misfire, so one cylinder's misfiring, and then randomly it starts going away. It's because it takes time for it to actually smooth itself out. So I always recommend bleeding down your lifters. If you don't want to do that, it's up to you. But that's how we do it here. When I build the engines, I bleed them down just as I showed you. I take an Allen key, I bleed all the lifters down so that there's not extra oil in them. I install everything as it's supposed to be. I do put assembly lube on the rollers and the needle bearings, so I make sure those are all coated really good with assembly lube so it's nice and lubricated on the camshaft, not installing them dry. I make sure the bodies are lubricated and all that. I just don't pump them full of oil by soaking them in, and it's up to you if you want to do it the other way. But that's the logic between why you should or should not soak them. It's up to you, make your own determination. But in my opinion, it's always best to bleed down your lifters. So now we're going to go ahead and get the head gaskets installed. We're going to get the head studs installed, get the head sat on here. Before we do all that, we're going to get our timing set installed. I just realized I don't have that on yet. So I'm going to get the timing set installed, head gaskets, head studs, and then the heads installed. And if you've never installed head studs before, how you want to do it is you want to basically put your ultra torque assembly lube that comes with the ARP studs. You're putting it on all the surfaces, so you're putting it on all the threads, on the nuts, on the washers. And so how I do them is I coat the surfaces as it says in the instructions. I hand tighten down the studs, and then I take my Allen key, and what I do is I go to snug with the Allen key, and then I loosen a quarter of a turn. So that makes sure they're all seated down in the bore, but they're not over tightened. So I go a quarter turn loose, and then I install everything. And if you want, you can use Loctite. I don't use Loctite on them. But let's go ahead and get into this and finish getting this engine assembled.
Right now, we have our intern over there taking off the wheels, and we got to drop the cradle, so we'll be pulling the upper ball joints and struts,
and then 4 bolts on the cradle. Drop cradle down, put 426 on the cradle, mate the transmission up to it, and lower the car back down. Over here, we got the 426 already nice and built. Looking pretty spiffy.
Bang, bang. Talking about spiffy. You know you bad.
Let's get into it. Yesterday, we were able to get the cradle dropped out, motor put on. Today, we're going to button up and mate the transmission. First, we got to put the flex plate on, torque that down, get the starter up in there, put the trans on, get that all put up together, and then we'll lower the car back down and get everything buttoned up. What do you guys say, Cam?
Get to it and do it.
What's up, guys? Right in front of me, I got the 2017 gray wide body that you saw us drop the cradle out of. I forgot to record putting the cradle back in the car. I'm sorry, Matt. I do it all the time. I'm not a YouTuber. My apologies. Anyways, here's just a little update video on what we got. We got the motor in, got the cradle back, bolted up exactly how it's supposed to go. Got the AC back in, got the alternator back on, got all the wiring routed how we want it, but it's not getting the intake back on it because this is getting a Whipple. So we got to do a little bit of wiring work, get that Whipple on there. I got the starter on. You can't really see it down there, it is dark. All I got left is drive shaft exhaust and the trans lines. I lost the Jesus clips.
What? Oh, good grief.
Of course. Today, I'll be unboxing this car's exhaust from MBRP. I'll get that unboxed and put together and mocked up to be put on this car. Let's get into it.
We're working on the 426 for our buddies KB, and the fuel system is about 90% done. So I'm going to go ahead and get the blower sat on, which I need assistance with because my back is destroyed and I can't pick that shit up.
Oh, you mother!
That's why you asked me to stay.
Yeah, I need you to stay so you can help. I mean, I can pick it up by myself.
No,
I took
it's
it
cool.
off by
You
myself.
okie dokes me.
But I
I'll
mean,
take it.
if you just want me to throw my back out.
My back! Oh, my back!
I mean, that's okay.
I do.
But we're gonna put the supercharger on now. Go ahead and start getting the rest of the fuel system done in the engine bay, so that KB can come pick up his car, and we can get it on the dyno so we can make like 5 million horsepower. As this build is coming to a completion on this video towards the end, we're gonna see burnouts, we're gonna see dyno pulls, we're gonna see numbers, so make sure you stay tuned. And while you're here, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the updates on all of the builds that we have going on at the current time. And if there's any builds that you want to see, let us know. We have more builds coming up very soon. We have an LS Swap 300 we're gonna be building. We have a Challenger we're gonna be converting from manual to automatic. We have all kinds of crazy things that are going to be going on soon on the channel, including more vlogging, more track content, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the new videos that we have releasing very shortly. If you guys are looking for stuff for your Gen 3 Hemi, make sure you give us a shout, 9dayperformance.com. If you have questions, you can message us on Facebook or Instagram. It takes a little time to get to all the messages because we do receive a lot of messages every day, but sit back, relax. We're gonna finish getting this Whipple slapped on so we can go out and see how much power this thing makes at the end of the video. Stay tuned. Behind me is the 426 Hemi, the Whipple Supercharged one that we built for our customer KB. We're on the dyno at C&Z, and in a few minutes we're going to do some pulls, see how much power it makes. Leave those horsepower guesses down in the video in the comments, and we got it strapped down. Let's see what she makes. All right, so if you saw that, you saw we had an issue on the dyno. It looked like the dyno kind of cut out, or the car kind of cut out on the dyno. and it did. We ended up having a voltage issue with the wiring, so I went ahead and fixed that. Since then, the voltage issue is fixed. We had to run a new wire on one of the trigger wires for the secondary pump, because for some reason the amperage was just not right. But we got that fixed, resolved. Now we're gonna go ahead and make a few dyno hits with everything working right, get this dialed in with Ryan over at FRP Tuning. If you need tuning for your Gen 3 Hemi, frptuning.com, that's where you need to go. And if you need some in-person work done with some tuning, bring it to us, nightandayperformance.com. Let's jump back into the dyno.
Modified exhaust systems serve no purpose other than to create fear, chaos, and intimidation.
I want to do it because it's fun. Fun to do bad things.
They stem from a culture of aggressive driving.
Ooh, that be running. Ooh, that.
And behind me, as you can see, is the 426 Charger that we built for our customer KB out of Louisiana. We're gonna be going over the build, going over what's done to the car, and answering some questions like why it's only making 850 horsepower right now. Basically, first off, car is a standard 6.4 SRT Charger. That's what it was built as. And what we did is we took that motor out, got it machined, got it bored 10 over, and we put a 426 stroker inside the engine. What that means is we put different pistons, rods, and a crank. The rods have a longer stroke, which means that the pistons can come down in the bore further down, which then causes more displacement to be created whenever that happens. Right now it's on a conservative compression. I think it's like 10.5 to 1, so it's nothing super extravagant, but it's just enough to keep it spicy when it's NA and still have lots of power when it's in boost. As of currently, the vehicle is making around 10 pounds of boost, so it's not turned anywhere near all the way up. It's actually turned way down. I'll pull you a little closer here so we can go over the engine bay. So as you can see here, we have the Whipple Suoercharger 3.0. We have a Kong Performance 108 throttle body, leg maker intake. It does have a wine mod on it. In my opinion, the wine mods are okay. They're not really all that great, but it's what the customer wanted. It's what he paid for, so that's what he got.
It's my money, and I need it now.
We have the FRP 426 stroker. It has a Widowmaker cam, stainless works long tubes, high flow cats, and that's pretty much everything encompassing in here. We do have ARP main studs, ARP head studs. Everything's fully built for 1200 horsepower. The question is, why is it only making 850 right now? And I've gotten that question a few times when we were discussing this build on the channel. It's because the axles are still stock. As of current, we have not changed the axles yet. The owner wants to change them up pretty soon. And when it comes back, we're gonna turn it up to around 1,000, which is where he wants it to be at. This motor is built for 1200 horsepower though. So all the stuff that you see and all the money that was poured into it, yes, it makes more than 850. It's only on 10 pounds of boost. This Whipple can go up to around 20 to 22 pounds of boost. So we have way more. And as far as power goes, your typical power is gonna be about 30 horsepower for every 1 pound of boost. So we have another 12 pounds of boost. So 12 times 3. Do that math. That's how much power we can still add to this. That's not even including anything else. We can also adjust fueling, we can adjust timing. It is on E85. We're gonna also go down to the drivetrain. Drivetrain on this one is going to be a simple speed and performance max effort 8HP 70 with a one-piece drive shaft from Drive Shaft Shop. So everything in the drivetrain is built ready except for the axles. We're gonna do the axles, and we're gonna do a rear diff brace. We're gonna do a safety loop on it, and then we're gonna turn it up. But for right now, we're putting it at 850, and that's what the goal was for this whole build when I discussed it with the customer. He said he wanted 800 to 850 horsepower, so we shot to the top end of that, had the pulley guess correct, right around 10 pounds of boost, and it made just over 850 rear wheel horsepower. It's very healthy, very happy, very nice build. We'll come around, as you can see, 426 badges. We did paint the calipers with G2 caliper paint. I personally did not like the G2 caliper paint's results compared to a traditional painting. Inside, we did get the nice steering wheel installed. We have the gauge cluster that we swapped out, that we'll have the video on for that one as well, that Jordan did. This gauge cluster came from US Speedo. This gauge cluster came from US Speedo. Now, for that one, I'm gonna also discuss what happened with the US Speedo case. When you're installing these speedometers or the faces, sometimes the needles tend to get broke. It's very, very common. Not necessarily the needle itself, but the motor behind it. Whenever you do the twist to unlock, sometimes they just break. US Speedo covered that for us. We paid for shipping. They covered all the repairs for it because they said it's very common. They fix these all the time. So they repaired that portion, sent us the gauge cluster back, and we got it reinstalled in the car. So all of that is well, all of that is done. One of the most important modifications to this vehicle that we have not mentioned yet is the tuning. This vehicle was tuned by FRP Tuning. Ryan and the team over there always take care of us, and as you know, Night and Day Performance exclusively uses FRP parts. So this does have all FRP parts, including FRP tuning. If you're all asking the question of, hey, who's the best person to tune my car? I have a Tomahawk, I have a Widowmaker, I have this and this. You might want to look at the people that made the parts for you. Ryan over at FRP is the GOAT when it comes to the Timmy tuning, in my opinion. There are others that are really reputable. When I say others, I mean there's like 3 or 4 that I would actually consider reputable tuners. I've used them before, but FRP does all of our tuning here in-house with the shop. And if you guys need any tuning done, give them a shout. Let them know Night and Day Performance sent you, and they'll get you right. And then around back, more goodies. We have the Forge Star wheels you saw me mount and balance, or mount the tires on, these Mickey Thompson ET Street R's. There's one here, there's one in the trunk. He's gonna have time to play with those once he gets back to Louisiana. The reason we don't have them on now is because you don't want to drive on drag radials for a long period of time. You drive on them for 200-300 miles, you're putting unnecessary wear on them, and they're gonna end up having issues. Aside from that, we did small things to the car. We replaced the headlights. We ran a full, complete fuel system on this. This is a dual pump return system that I ran in-house. So we got that done. It has plenty of fuel. It has 1300 cc injectors from Injector Dynamics, NGK spark plugs, and I mean everything else is pretty much the typical thing you would see in a Hemi build. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna do a startup, and I'm gonna show you one of the other cool features that we did in this vehicle, which is the Valvetronics Designs exhaust system. So I'm gonna put you guys in the back, start it up with both options so you can hear it. Sounds with the valves closed, and then with the click of a button you get that beautiful FRP cam sound, and it's super crisp. So that's the Valvetronics exhaust. That's the build. Now I'm gonna walk you around, do a little montage of the car so you can check it out. Now that we got that done, we jump back in with you. What we're gonna do now, we got the car cleaned up. You got the wheel in the back seat there, and we're gonna run over to the shop. And KB's actually come into town. He's ready to pick this up and drive this car all the way back to Louisiana. I believe he's going back to Baton Rouge, but if you see the car, give him a shout when you're out in traffic, and then we're gonna get his reaction on the car. I'll probably take him out for a spin. I'll do a drive, let him do some driving, and we'll see how he likes the car, see how he likes to build. Let's check in with him when we get back to the shop. There he is. Hey, I fixed the hood struts. We're gonna get your reaction to the car though.
God damn, you got that bitch whining.
I got your hood struts fixed. What's going on?
Yeah. Oh, man.
Don't rubber, don't rubber. Make love to it.
God damn.
Make love to it. I'm gonna take you on the test drive too.
Shit. Oh, shit. Yeah, you did your thing, bro. You did your thing, bro.
You like it?
I love it. What you mean?
The Valvetronics works now too. And the quiet people, you just do that. And then when you want to be loud, you hit the bottom one.
That's the top.
Yeah. Top one makes it quiet. Just press one time.
Oh, yeah, that's what I need, man.
Yep.
That's perfect.
That's super quiet.
That's perfect.
And then you press the bottom one, it gets obnoxious.
Yeah, that's what I need though right now.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It'll be alright. I can still see him cry. Still see him cry. You see your tires in the back.
Yeah, them bitches going on today.
Today, when you get back. Because everything works now, so you got your full power. Don't be doing no digs until you get tires on that bitch.
I ain't gonna even fuck with that. I ain't gonna fuck with that at all.
I mean, I wouldn't get do digs until you get axles.
Axles, tires, I ain't gonna diff brakes, I ain't gonna fuck with that. I ain't that hard headed.
So you gotta be rolling. Can't do no slow shit. And then the steel break loose. See, these people dumb over here. I already got pulled over in your car, by the way.
Bro,
I got pulled over 2 days ago. You know the registration expired? I said this ain't my car. All right, well here's a warning. Why you gonna give me a warning?
How when is it?
November.
Last 24? Check my mail.
Like, I ain't worried about y'all. They always try to do stuff like that. Think I'm gonna give you a warning.
They gonna be tripping about that shit in Louisiana, but I know Texas is.
No, it's here because they saw me drive by in your car the other day over at Advance. And when I drove by, I was ducking because I was like, he gonna pull me over for tent or something stupid.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna just go park in Advance. So I sat in Advance for about 30, 45 minutes and he drove off. Then he saw me the next day and he was like, oh, okay. Now I'm gonna pull you over and see what's up. You know your registration expired? It ain't my registration. I should have just went on the test road right there.
So you think we gonna make 1,000 with the 600?
Maybe.
It's gonna do a lot of those.
Yeah, the thing is, it's stretching the belt already. And that's not necessarily because of the pulley size, it's just because of the simple fact that it's got a lot of tension. That's a strong tensioner. But that tensioner looks like it's a 10 rib too, so it'll work when we do the 10 rib conversion too. 4,000. Well, you can subtract some stuff because you don't need the blower spacers and all that other stuff for the Hellcat, but it's still expensive. When you leave, go this way, go to HEB. This should be the same way you're going to head there, but you need to go to the HEB down here and fill up with E, fill up the cans with E.
Alright, I need to go get 2 more cans.
You all got 4? You gonna take 4?
Yeah, I ain't trying to take no chances. I thought bullshitting with that.
I mean, if it was like a stranded type situation, you could probably just put 93 in it and limp to the next station, but it's not good.
Frankenstein, god damn.
That's what you wanted, right?
Yeah.
Ain't that what you wanted?
What?
Ain't that what you wanted?
God damn.
You said build a monster, I got you.
Fuck.
And that's with tire spin.
Yo, I love this bitch.
That's with tire spin.
I know.
Because even at a roll, they still spin. Turn around, head back to the shop. Yeah, anything down low though, like down here, don't even like, like it automatically pulls. And then on your gauge over here, that wide open throttle, if you see anything above like 12.5, like it starts going to 12.5, 13, let out. That's when it starts going lean. Optimal, what he wants around these is around 11.0, 11.3 under wide open throttle. Okay. When you first hit it, the second pump comes on, it will confuse the gauge and it'll pop a 10.0. It's still fine as long as it doesn't just sit at 10.0. Okay. But even then, being rich is not necessarily a big issue. Under boost, being lean is a problem. So like before, when we were doing it and the second pump wasn't working, it was going like 13.5. Okay. So we noticeably saw there was a problem.
How much boost I'm running? Like 10?
Like 10 pounds. Not even a lot.
You think when I get my money and shit, damn!
Now that's how you supposed to drive. From now on, that's how you drive.
God damn, God. What the man?
You didn't think it was gonna be like that?
Nah, I knew it was gonna be like that, but God
you
damn.
You just wasn't ready for it?
Nah, I wasn't ready at all.
I remember last time at FRP, you wasn't ready for it either.
I was not ready.
You almost went in the ditch.
Yeah, I wasn't ready. I was about to flip this bitch over with John in the
I saw that shit. I saw the tail lights. I said, there it go. I said, there it go. So you got all your power. She ready to move. The whine mod is not super noticeable either.
Nah, I just hit a blower though.
You can hear the whine mod down there. Yeah. That is the whine mod. Yeah. That little bit of a whine. Yeah. It's just not as loud as I thought it was gonna be. Nah. Because it has a little baffle screen on it to keep like a whole bunch of contaminants from getting sucked in the blower. Yeah. So it makes it quieter. But
yeah, they catfished me on a YouTube video.
Yeah, they made it. Like bro, we was crying when we got in the shop. We were like, man, this thing about to be hard. All of a sudden we got in. Jordan closed the doors and fired it up. He was like, what the hell? He revved it and went, he's like, what the f was that? What the f was that? And then I came back and they were laughing around the car. I was like, why y'all laughing? They were like, bro, get inside and rev that bitch. I got in, I said, no. But then also when you're driving, if you switch the to quiet mode, it's not super loud as far as the exhaust. That's a cop. That's Jersey Village PD right there.
You got more long sleeves than me? I could cop my girl one.
Nah, I'm gonna send you a package in the mail. I'm gonna send you some shirts and shit and a hoodie. My wife about to make a whole bunch of new merch, so.
Cause I gave her the other one, but it's too big for us.
Nah, you good. Yeah, she it was weird. The same designs we've been using. we sent for prints, and they were like, yeah, well, it's not a good resolution. I was like, it's the same ones we've been using. So we had to get a new design made, which requires me to do work. And yeah, but like this road right here, I don't even try it on, like with this dust and stuff.
Yeah. So what you think better, the chiller or the ice tank?
For your situation, chiller.
Chiller, yeah.
I see chiller is gonna be your best bet, because that's what happened to the Trackhawk. Remember the Trackhawk that blew up?
Yeah.
That's what happened, is he didn't have a chiller. So he told us he wasn't doing any half-mile runs and stuff like that. And we set it up for quarter and eighth mile, and the heat is good for quarter, eighth mile. Once you get past that quarter mile, the heat is so much that if you don't let off, it'll start overheating and melting shit with the timing, because it's not made for that. So that's why we always ask, like, hey, what's your plans? And if they're like, hey, I'm going to the half mile, I'm going to the Texas mile, we would pull timing way back, turn the boost down. Like, we're like, hey, you can't make that much power going to the Texas mile.
See, for me, this like really a weekend fun car. So I know an ice tank is mainly for when you drag racing.
Yeah, that's for drag racing. The IC chiller is going to be something that's not, you don't have to maintain it. You know what I mean? It just works with your AC system. It keeps everything cool all the time. Okay. You don't have to worry about it. The ice tank, then you got to fill it up with ice, and if you're on a daily driver type deal, it's pointless to have an ice tank, because as soon as you start driving, it's gonna melt.
And with the tires, I can use my regular lug nuts.
We'll have to see. Those, it might, if it doesn't, I never put them on the car.
Yeah.
If it doesn't fit, just let me know. We can get some cheap. You can get them from the parts store though. They'll have the smaller lug nuts, the smaller splines.
All right, for sure.
You ready to do some donuts? Donuts? You ready to do some donuts? Let's go do some donuts. Want to do donuts? Come on. Don't be scared, man. hey, don't bullshit. I'll do a donut in this motherfucker now. Don't play with me. Don't play with me.
Go.
Oh.
He's tired going anyway.
He said, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'll do that bitch right here.
Don't lose them, Mike. This is what I do.
Oh, this dude, a fucking madman. God damn. Yo. Yo.
Yes, they are.
Fucking crazy. God damn.
And it didn't even hurt the tires.
This look good.
It didn't even hurt the tires at all. So what you think?
You the man, bro.
No, you the man.
Nah, you the man.
You the man in New Orleans.
You the man.
Down to Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Baton Rouge, you know? Thank you, bro.
You gonna go tear him up?